Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent. I'm not joking.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
They don't talk about what was happening at home in terms of foreclosures, in terms of bad loans that were being, these Shylocks who took advantage of these.
When the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic. Lincoln Riley, an innocent young woman who was killed by an illegal. That's right. But how many of the thousands of people being killed by illegals?
You know, Joe Biden's been around a long, long time, man. He has said a lot of stupid shit. And every time he does, mushy brain leftists, every time they've given him a pass, they just say that's Joe being Joe, that's Amtrak Joe, that's the poorest man in Congress, and he doesn't mean what he says. Got to know his heart. They have never cared about what that man says until, of course, it comes to the way he referred to an illegal immigrant who bashed in an innocent American's skull. That they just won't tolerate.
First of all, just the moment, but also on the term he used, illegal. There's been some backlash among some in his own party for using that term.
Look, it was clear being in the chamber last night that there were those on the extreme Republican Party who were trying to bait the president into responding to whatever heckle they were offering. It's unfortunate that the president used that language. I don't believe that is the language that he believes in his heart about immigrant people who find their way to this country to make a better life for themselves.
Do you regret using the word illegal to describe immigrants last night, sir?
Well, I don't regret it. It was technically not supposed to be here.
You should have used the word undocumented. I don't believe that the president's heart is with the word illegal. I think, frankly, he shouldn't have responded to a very disrespectful Republican member who was shouting at him, the president of the United States. That is not appropriate.
Now, I guess in a way they kind of will tolerate it. I guess they're still giving the guy a pass. Even as they chastise the man over calling a spade, they will just chalk it up to just Joe being Joe. And they know what's in his heart. Like, what the hell does that even mean? And what I hear them saying when they say those words is, we know he doesn't give a shit about Americans. We know he doesn't care how many die. We know that he's sticking to the plan of pretending to be compassionate and humanitarian as we flood our country with the future of the Democrat Party. That's what I hear them saying. And I think that's actually what they are saying. And, this is where we're at. If you ever want to know what Joe Biden actually believes, separate him from the teleprompter and his handlers for just a second even, and just let him talk. His exact words were, this guy was an illegal. And even when he knew that he had to clean it up, he said, well, technically, he's not supposed to be here. And, the even more true and more telling thing that the president actually believes was when he said how many thousands of Americans are being killed by illegals. And this is what he actually believes because he knows the truth. He sees the reports and he knows what his policies have become and what they've led to. And he knows that to be actually true. But like any good puppet, this is what actually happens. The man who has given the fewest presidential sit-down interviews in 50 freaking years immediately gets drug onto TV on MSNBC of all places, probably because their viewers are the most shocked and the most saddened and upset by his actual true words. And he doesn't talk about any success. He doesn't talk about any inflation. He doesn't even talk about Ukraine or anything kitchen table related. He is only there to clean up his own true language.
I noticed the look of surprise on your face when you walked into the chamber and you saw Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. It was priceless. You feigned shock at seeing her. But during your response to her heckling of you, you used the word illegal when talking about the man who allegedly killed Laken Riley.
An undocumented person. And I shouldn't have used illegal. It's undocumented. And look, when I spoke about the difference between Trump and me, one of the things I talked about on the border was that the way he talks about vermin, the way he talks about these people polluting the blood. I talked about what I'm not going to do, what I won't do. I'm not going to treat any of these people with disrespect. Look, they built the country. The reason our economy is growing. We have to control the border and more orderly flow, but I don't share his view at all.
So you regret using that word?
Yes.
Just listen to the guy lead the guy. I mean, just to be clear, Mr. President, you regret using that word. I mean, can you just say it again for the folks at home? You, the President of the United States, are now pledging to us that you will put the feelings and the futures of illegal aliens over every single one of your potential legal voters come November. And I know how horrible that sounds. I know that it sounds like I'm exaggerating, but I don't believe that this is an exaggeration, man. We have a Democrat Party that is so extreme that they really do care more about how the president refers to the murderer than they do of the actual fate of the murdered. I mean, how does anyone reasonable accept this? I saw Robert De Niro on Bill Maher talking about how he can't believe that anyone can vote Republican. Of course, these people, they never ever quantify that. That's just based on feeling. They don't have any facts to back it up. It's just the way they feel. But I honestly wonder, I understand we're all different politically. We all believe different things, but how can anyone of sane mind actually support the modern day Democrat Party? We've got a 22-year-old nursing student with her freaking skull crushed in, and that's just a sad statistic to them. They can't even say the name. While the feelings of illegal immigrants really are their actual priority. I mean, how is that even possible, man? Joe Biden couldn't even say the name Laken Riley properly. Couldn't even say it right, and no one said a word. But he said illegal instead of undocumented, and they literally forced the President of the United States into submission. And I don't know, are you guys starting to see how this works? Starting to see what they actually believe? Joe Biden is the good guy. He's the hero. And this is the villain.
Remorse. He's got no regret. He's got no empathy, no compassion. And worst of all, he has no intention of stopping the deadly invasion that stole precious Laken's beautiful American life. We are profoundly honored to be joined today by the family and loved ones of Laken and some of her great friends. I met them. They're so incredible. The whole group is incredible. To Laken's parents, John and Allison, and her sister, Lauren, her roommate, Connolly, and to all of those who loved Laken, the hearts of hundreds of thousands and indeed millions and millions of Americans and people worldwide, they're shattered alongside of your beautiful hearts. We share your grief. We share your grief. Thank you, darling. Thank you. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. I know how tough it is. That's so tough. We vow to keep Laken's memory alive for as long as we are here on this earth, and we take comfort that she is now home with God in heaven. And I want to thank you, and thank you for being here. Incredible. I know how tough it is.
I mean, what do you even add to that, man? I've said this in every single video I've made about this, and I believe it. I believe it to be 100% true. If Laken Riley was a different color and she had been killed by a law enforcement officer instead of an illegal immigrant, then she'd already be a lionized Democrat hero. She'd probably literally be lying in state right now. But they can't even say her name. I mean, they've each given a dozen interviews about what's really in Joe Biden's heart and what he should have said and what's really going on. And not one of them has been brave enough to even say her name in all these interviews that are really essentially about her. And that tells you everything you're probably ever going to need to know about what they believe in. Trump, sadly, has been making the same immigration speech for damn near a decade. And the only silver lining there is people are actually finally starting to listen. And honestly, I mean, it's a shame that it takes us so much heartbreak and so much grief, both for Americans and for migrants, to finally start getting the message, man. But I mean, it's heartbreaking, man. But guys, we have got to make sure that message gets heard. People are dying all over the world, and it's all because of our policies, American policies, Joe Biden policies, and we got to find a way to stop it, man. But that's just my take, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you haven't already, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, share the channel. I'll see you in the next one.